This podcast discusses paranormal activity and other topics some might find disturbing. Listener discretion is advised.
Is it a chill or a ghostly breeze? A knock, a tap, what do you believe? Ghosts, gossip, gather around where the lost and the haunted are found. Ghosts, gossip, don't make a sound. Truth or tales, we'll dig it out.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ashley, and welcome back to another episode of Ghost Gossip. Today, I have two very special guests in the podcast studio, except they're not with me. They are at their house. We have Liam and Mary Geary.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming on. Now, you are with Geary PI. Y'all are paranormal investigators. And tell me a little bit about yourselves. How'd you get started? Where are you located? All that fun stuff.
Growing up, I always kind of had an interest in the paranormal. I lost my mom when I was very young, so that really kind of fueled it moving forward. Like, I always kind of thought that she would speak to me through the wind or whatever, and I've always kind of been trying to search for the other side and get some answers for that, to know that she's still there or that there is something after we pass. And it's just kind of snowballed from there. Growing up watching all of the paranormal shows in the early 2000s, and then realizing that, like, this is pretty accessible and it's definitely something that you can do. And then once you kind of get into it, it's hard to get out of it, especially when you start seeing all of the stuff that you see on TV actually happen in front of you. It's just kind of mind boggling. And then you just need to do it more and more.
That was deep. I was not expecting that. I feel like that we have a little bit.
She's like, I wasn't ready.
Yeah. So I think for me, I grew up in a really old haunted farmhouse. And so I had experiences as a child, and I have never questioned whether or not ghosts exist, because I've just always thought that they do. I grew up around our table. Oftentimes there were stories told of generations of experiences in the house that I grew up in. I had experiences there. I was definitely a creepy kid, and I have always had sensitivities and been really sensitive to stuff like that. So it was just natural for me. I've always had an interest. But also growing up, before the internet, at the inception of the internet, there wasn't a lot of places, there was no paranormal TV. There weren't a lot of places to kind of dig deeper and get the information I wanted. The library was very limited. And I think when paranormal television first hit the scene, I watched everything, and I was like, this is so cool, to see. And it's the same kind of thing, after we got together, we talked a lot about it and realized that we had similar interests. And we started watching TV, and we're like, why can't we do that? Why can't we get that equipment and go do that for ourselves? I believe that that's happening, but I don't know. I'm not there. And that's kind of what started it.
Now, where are you located? Are y'all in New England?
Yeah. So we're on the seacoast of New Hampshire.
Oh, cool.
So pretty much it's pretty great, because it's like a hub. Within 2 hours of us, there's so many haunted or allegedly haunted locations that we can go to. Like Fall River. You were just in Fall River not that long ago. So we've been to the Lizzie Borden house. We've been to the Conjuring house. Where else?
One of my favorite locations is the Mark
Twain house in Connecticut.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never been to New England. I mean, I've been to New York, but I don't know if New York is considered New England. I really don't know. I've been to New York before, but Massachusetts was like my first time, like up above New York. And it was beautiful. And there's so much there. There's just so much history. There's so many locations. I was blown away by just the energy in Boston.
Oh, Boston is, yeah. We're about an hour out of Boston, and we're just like far enough removed from the city that we kind of get that quiet New England life, which is like really kind of ideal, at least for me. I can't handle cities. She's talked about her sensitivities. I don't know what kind of sensitivities I have, but I can't handle the hustle and bustle of a city like that. It's too loud. I feel too much.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I feel a lot. I like going, but I like leaving as well.
100%.
I love Vegas. I go to Vegas at least once a year. I'm actually going back in a month from today, actually, which is weird because I am an introvert and I'm sensitive as well. So a lot of energy bothers me. But when I'm there, it's almost like I'm able just to turn it off. But when I get home, I am exhausted
Yeah.
Yeah.
mentally, emotionally, just everything. I'm just like ready to shut down. I have to, it takes me about a week to recover from being around people like that.
That's relatable. Very, very relatable. I think a trip to Trader Joe's just about puts it
Oh,
over the
geez.
Yeah, Trader Joe's on a Sunday, and I have to come home and
So you think about something
recuperate
like
for hours.
Vegas where
I'm pretty sure that the women in Trader Joe's on an average Saturday or Sunday morning are all possessed and that they are another level. And I mean, no offense, y'all know what I'm talking about those women in Trader Joe's. I mean, they go in there, they have a plan and they know where everything is. And if you are in their way, they will literally move you to get what they need.
oh, yeah, you have it's like
Uh,
aggressive driving.
yes.
You have
I
to be
have a
willing to be a little rude to navigate.
Yes. Daniel has a really funny story, and he doesn't listen to this podcast, which is really funny because he's on this podcast.
Mhm.
But
Frequently.
yeah, so that's a whole nother episode, okay? He's very supportive. He just doesn't he he likes listening to stuff, but he says he doesn't like listening to his own voice, so that's why he doesn't listen, but whatever. He's he's gonna kill me for telling this. We were at Trader Joe's. It was one of our first times, and I was super overwhelmed. I'm very introverted, believe it or not. I can do this because I do it on my own terms, and nobody's here with me. So I'm able to be extremely extroverted like this. We were in Trader Joe's. I was on the verge of a panic attack because I did not realize that you have to really know what you're doing when you're in there, or you will get run over. And he goes and he farts really loud. Like, it was so loud, it surprised him, and he froze in the aisle. And I turned around because I'm already, mid panic attack. You're like, and there are women behind him. And they were like, I don't know if we've been back.
I'll try not
You
to
wanna share?
derail with fart stories. No, no.
We're all like 12 inside, and it's a good fart story. It's funny, but I think it was just we were both kind of stressed. We're both overwhelmed. These women are moving our carts out of the way to get something. We've never been in there. We don't know where anything is. And then he rips one and it's so loud, like it's like vibrational, like through his pants down to the floor. And it's just like, you've got to be kidding me.
I
Good
don't
old
care how
Daniel.
old you are. Farts are always funny.
Yeah, sometimes they are. Most times they are. I didn't find that one. I find it funny now, but mid panic attack, I wanted to kill him.
In the moment, yeah.
In
Yeah.
the moment, it
Yeah.
wasn't funny. His face was, he's not embarrassed easy, so he doesn't care, but it surprised him. He thought it was going to be quiet.
Those are the worst.
So,
You think you got
so
a
he,
plan, and it just goes to shit.
no pun intended.
No pun
here.
intended.
Gosh, we are off track already, but
I know, I was gonna say, how did we get here? But it's
I
great.
don't know, but here we are. There is nothing funnier to me than a good poop pun. Like, it's like, ah, shit. Anyway.
That's a whole other episode.
I'm telling you, that's about the third time I've heard that today or said it myself. Every episode, I'm like, well, that's a podcast for a different day. And here we are. We said it. We're 10 minutes in. We're doing good.
This is amazing.
So, how long have y'all been doing investigations together?
When did that start? Like 3
3 years
years
ago?
ago?
Okay.
So it was we kind of dabbled in it. It started, what was the first place we went? Was it the boarding house?
Yeah, I think the first place we went, we didn't go there to investigate.
Right.
We just went there to get our feet wet about, are we brave enough to go into a place that feels a little creepy? I don't know.
Right.
So
You
we
don't know until
roughly
you're there.
Yeah, I think it was close to Halloween. That was a good experience. I don't know if I would go there now with all of what's going on, but at the time when we went, there wasn't as much exploitation going on in the tour or in the home, and it was really neat to be there and be part and be able to see. It's a big part of American crime history. I think it was
Mm-hmm.
the first photographed crime scene in the country,
Mm-hmm.
which is it's amazing to think about all of what took place there and what unfolded. It was really interesting to go in there and tour it.
It was. And then after that, of course, the Conjuring house before all that stuff started
We got
happening
lucky.
too. We got
Yeah.
lucky.
Yeah.
And again, it wasn't for like an investigation because we're still trying to
Mhm.
figure out, is this really something we want to get into? It
Right.
was a tour. The docents did a great job of like separating the sensationalism of the movie franchise from what actually happened there. And then they
Right.
did let you do a little bit of free roam. So like
He gave you some equipment.
the first chance I had, I was like, I grabbed a REM pod. I went right down to the basement to the
Oh,
room that had the cistern in it, and I just set up and I was like, all right, well, let's see what we can do. And we wound up getting some hits on the REM pod, which was pretty
mhm.
cool. And I think it really just kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah, we had split up and I was upstairs roaming around and then I realized you weren't with me and I was like, "Where the hell is he?" So we go looking around and I go down to the basement and here he is down there. He's the only one by himself in the basement with a REM pod and he's just chatting away and I was like, "All right, we can do this. If you're brave enough to do that, I think we'll be all right. We can do this."
Yeah.
So that's kind of
Yeah.
where
So
we
it's
started that.
funny that you mentioned the Lizzie Borden house, my guest on Monday. So Caven Hendren, who is the Borden musical writer, he is one of my friends, and he was on Monday's episode, and he came on with his new co-writer because originally they had written a musical, and it actually is from Emma's point of view, and it was supposed to. Actually, they were supposed to have their first show ever in August, actually on August 4th of last year, but some stuff happened with scheduling and everything ended up getting postponed, and he got a new writer, and now it's back on, and they are working. So it's just funny that you bring that up because they were my interview on Monday, coming on with a new writer, and we talked about the Lizzie Borden house. We talked about some of the history, and I actually, we talked about. I loved the tour. I know about it, and I had talked to him before, and I knew about it, and the tour was fascinating. Just hearing, I learned so much more than I didn't know, and I think they really did a good job. But I think I did hear before about, oh, how to put this nicely. I guess this is since, oh, what is the word I'm looking for?
Exploitation.
Sensationalize.
Sensationalism.
Mm.
But that's funny that y'all said that because it's like I've heard that before. When I was there, I guess I just didn't. I don't know. I don't know. I thought it was really great. It seemed to be a lot of the facts. It
Mhm.
was just facts.
Yeah. The tour guide that we had, she did a great job.
She did do a
Being
great job.
able
I
to
can't
set
remember her
the
name. What really kicked us off into investigating those because we mentioned like the Borden house and the Conjuring house. They weren't like really full investigations, but then so Adam Berry every year he does an investigation of the Mark Twain house, and
Mm,
we were like, okay, we need to get tickets for this. Like, let's see
yeah.
how a professional investigator operates and does this, and let's go. And we already had some equipment for whatever
Yeah,
reason.
we
I think
well, I mean, we had started kind of buying it and messing around.
you had mentioned ADHD, and I have that, or ADHD-esque
Mm.
qualities, and I will hyper focus on something and learn everything
Mhm.
about it and buy everything before I'm even
Yeah.
fully vested into the.
Mhm.
So we show up on this investigation. We have a little bit of equipment with us, and it was the first time that we had heard a real life EVP. So he had a DR60 with him, and he captured an EVP of Susie because they do a great job at that museum. If you ever get a chance to come back up to New England, take a tour because everything is like to time period, the family's belongings. So they had it set up for Susie's birthday, Mark Twain's daughter. And so we sang Susie happy birthday, and like
Oh.
we were getting responses like Adam had said, do you know whose birthday it is? We have this set up for a birthday. Whose birthday is it? And then you just heard over the recording like birthday. We were like,
Oh.
Oh, that was
God.
fun. Yeah. Yeah, it was
And
Ah.
then,
Ooh.
oh yeah. And we heard like disembodied whistling and temperature fluctuations, and like you don't realize it in the moment. Like, at least I'll speak for myself, like my brain didn't necessarily process everything that happened in the moment. It just accepted it immediately and then kept going. And then after the fact, we were just like, what just happened?
Yeah.
And I had
Like,
brought us,
whoa, whoa, whoa.
yeah. And I had brought a cigar as a trigger object. I'd reached out to
Oh.
Adam, and he reached out to the museum and asked if it was okay for me to bring a cigar. And so we went up to the billiard room, which is where all the men hung out and smoked copious amounts of cigars. I think Mark Twain smoked between 30 and 40 a day or
What?
something like that.
I don't
Yeah,
even know how you do that.
huge.
Oh my
He was obsessed with
god.
them.
Really?
And so they actually let me put it on his billiard table in his ashtray, and we got a bunch of activity around the cigar and everything, and they
Wow.
let me leave it there, which was,
Oh,
like,
cool.
really kinda exciting. But that's really what sparked it off. We went back a second time and did it with more equipment, and, we had an opportunity to ask him, like, "How do you get involved in this? And, like, how do you get set up with, an investigation group?" And he was like, "Well, you guys already really seem to know what you're doing. Like, just go ahead and do it." Like, he's like, "You can,
Mhm.
spend $1,200 and rent out Waverly for a weekend, get a group of friends, and just go."
Mhm.
And so we kinda took that and just ran with it.
Yeah.
Did you go
That's
to
what
Waverly?
No,
Okay.
no.
I was gonna say, heck yeah, man.
Well, so for us, like, everybody's been to Waverly, everybody's been to Penhurst, everybody's been to, all of these places. Like, it's documented that they're haunted. Like, there's
Mhm.
obviously hauntings there. Like, what really intrigues us is, like, smaller places that potentially haven't been investigated. Like,
Right.
we did the Salem Witchboard Museum a month ago. We're going back
Yeah.
in 2 weeks, and, like, it's been a long time since that place has been investigated. But
Mhm.
smaller avenues like that, like yesterday, we just did the Magic Lantern up in Bridgeton, Maine, and the original Magic Lantern was it was the theater that held the world premiere of The Shining. So Stephen King
Wow.
actually managed to get Stanley Kubrick to
Wow.
hold it, and they just did it there in Bridgeton, and I think it benefited what?
The hospital.
The
Yes.
hospital.
That is very cool. So you said EVPs. When I was at Belvoir Winery in
We
Missouri,
wanna go there.
it's incredible. I did not sleep well. I don't think I would sleep there again. I don't know. I don't know. It, lots of kids' spirits, lots of energy, lots of just fast moving, just energy. And it's kind of like I cannot sleep because I feel like I'm laying in the middle of a busy room and it's just me and the person that was sleeping next to me. But it's just like I could not sleep. I don't see people. Sometimes I know where they are in the room because I can see them in my head, like where they're standing in the room, but I don't see them like I see you. And I just could feel them standing in the room, kind of like staring at me and like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm sleeping." But we caught this EVP. My friend Jocelyn did not have shoes on, and we were downstairs towards the lobby area, and there's a little room off the lobby, kind of across from the wine area. And she was talking about feet and making a joke about her feet and selling feet pictures. We were just talking. We were just,
Mhm.
having a good time. Bunch of girls, and
Okay.
I'll lick your feet.
Yeah.
Let me play it again.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my word.
There was no man there, but they did say there is a man named Gary who used to come to all the events there, and he had since passed away, and they think that was Gary. And it she was talking about somebody, like, kissing or licking her feet or something, and we did an
Uh-huh.
EVP, and I think Ashley had asked, "Hey, anybody wanna lick Jocelyn's feet?" Just joking. And and then it
And
said,
that's
"I'll lick your feet."
See, they have a sense of humor.
It
There's
certainly seems
you
like it.
never know. You never know what you're going to encounter.
And I will say I was there for that one. There was nobody saying a word. There was not a guy in sight, and it said, "I'll lick your feet."
I think there's an avenue for some sort of profit margin there,
We'll have to let them know.
for sure.
Yeah, it was very cool. I recommend anybody who's interested in going to Missouri to go. There's so many God, in the Midwest, there are just so many locations in the Midwest and in New England. South Carolina, there's like Charleston. Okay,
Yeah.
Charleston. But it was a lot of fun. The Belvoir Winery is beautiful. It is stunning. Stunning. Lots of energy. Lots and I'm not an investigator. People are like, "Well, you investigate, you have tools." I'm like, "I'm a storyteller.
Mm,
I want to tell stories. I want to hear stories. I'm okay not investigating. Like, I'm the type of person that I can go. I have tools. Like, I have my REM pod up here. I had it on earlier,
Mhm.
but it wouldn't shut up, so I just turned it off. But it I have stuff more for me, but I rather just go with other people and watch them investigate
Right.
and just feel my way through. Like, I like to experience, you know?
100%. Well, that's half of the fun for us too. Like, obviously, there's the investigating, which is definitely fun, and you kind of get that, that rush of dopamine when that kind of stuff is happening. Like, we actually, when we got back last night, we watched our footage from the Magic Lantern, and we were just like baffled because we go under Estes sessions, and like, so obviously you don't get to hear and understand what's happening when you're under
Right.
the session. So like, we came back and we watched it, and we were just kind of like both blown away from what had happened when
Wow.
we were under. But also, it's the digging up the information, it's the history, it's the stories, it's the storytelling. Like, that's why we're
Yeah.
going back to the Salem Witchboard Museum, is because we came across a name that is potentially, well, I've found confirmation that's related to somebody that used to own the property, and they were from the Salem witch trials. And we actually
Wow.
wound up going and visiting their resting place in a different part of Massachusetts, which wasn't even on our radar when we went in there, because we were thinking like, oh my God, it's all these boards, it's the Ouija boards. There's so much energy attached to them. And
Yeah.
now I mean, me personally, I don't know about you, but I'm starting to think that it has more to do with some of the events that surrounded the Witchboard Museum. Because there was, across the street, there's the Pingree House. That's
Mhm.
the home that the board game Clue is modeled after, because there was a really brutal murder right
Wow.
across the street. And there is a grumpy man. It seems like a grumpy male energy.
There's a very grumpy male energy there, and I kind of tuned into that the night before. I didn't understand what was going on. I had been excited to go, and then I wasn't. And I was like, "I don't know. I feel like I don't understand why I feel this way." And as we got there and got closer to investigation time, I actually asked him, like, "Can we spend a little more time in the truck? Like, I'm really uncomfortable." I don't
Mm,
understand if I'm uncomfortable. I mean, I know John is going to be there, and I have no problem with John, and I can't imagine that this is his energy I'm picking up, but I
mm,
don't feel comfortable. We went in and we kind of, you know, we kind of take it slow and quiet. We sit a while in the quiet, and I started to feel some things, and I started to write them down. And one of the things that I wrote down is there's a male presence here that doesn't like women. And when it
oh,
came time for us to kind of do our introductions, which is part of the way that we do things, Liam spoke his piece and he kind of looked at me and I was like, I was almost tongue tied. I felt like I shouldn't speak. And I was like, and you can hear me whispering on mic, and I'm like, no, I just think, go, I think you should. You can talk. And
wow.
he was like, what? And I was like, I'm just feeling really uncomfortable. And so it wasn't until after we got going and I was asking him questions and getting a lot of negative responses. They called me stupid.
Wow.
They called me an asshole. They called, there was just all this stuff.
Jeez.
You could really feel that energy. It really felt male to me. That then later after the investigation, we talked to John and he said, like, there's, a very anti-woman presence here. They've picked up EVPs and it fell in line with everything that we'd felt. And I was
Wow.
like, ooh, like I think that's the first time that really happened to me. I hadn't
Yeah.
encountered anything like that before, but
Yeah. Well, that makes sense because when I was there, initially, when I walked in, it was like almost like walking into a wall. And I told my husband, I was like, I was getting a headache.
yeah.
I was nauseous. I was like, I don't feel good. But I wanted to talk to
Mhm.
John, and John was talking to somebody else. And I'm an observer. So I'm just like hanging back, listening. And we had done an episode together a while ago. So like we knew each other, but we've never met in person. And so I was just listening and taking it all in, and finally was able to walk up and talk to him. And, we talked for a minute. And when he started talking to me and introducing me to some of the people that he was talking to, and then just kept talking, the feeling eased. But for
Mhm.
about 5 minutes, I was just like, I feel horrible. Like, just horrible. Like, I'm starting to
Mhm.
feel it right now, actually. It's like in my chest and in my throat.
Yeah.
Just like,
Yeah, I think it didn't feel going in there, we really had no expectations. We'd heard a
mhm,
few little things. We knew that he had had some stuff happening the month prior to us going, but we chose for him to not to tell us. And he said,
right.
like, we'll talk after. Let's just see what happens. I kind of expected, though, I think that maybe something surrounding a board would be where our communications came. And I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think whatever's there stays there. But I think that there was also more more than that one person. It seemed like there were more people who wanted to speak, and maybe that he was kind of a dominating presence. And so we're hoping when we go back that we can say, we talked to you before and that was great. Thank you. We're not going to do that tonight. We're going to do something different, and see how it
Oof.
goes. I'm
I
not
don't
sure how
think
that
he's
will go.
gonna like that. I was gonna say, I don't think
Right.
he's gonna like that very much.
So, like, you had gotten a headache. She got a headache when we went
Yeah.
there to investigate that started, and then
Like,
right when we sat down on the couch. And then after we left, her headache went away. When we
Mhm.
first went in there, this has only happened to me 3 times, but, like, the lower small of my back will start to
Mm.
really hurt, and I've kind of associated it to a place that just has an immense amount of energy. So, like, it happened at the Conjuring House, and then we walked out of the
Mm.
Conjuring House, my back stopped hurting. There's the Amos J. Blake House in Fitzwilliam, New Hampshire, that was on an episode of Ghost Hunters. The energy was thick in there. My back killed me the whole time until we left. And then again at the Witchboard Museum when we first went, my back was so uncomfortable. And then we stepped outside onto the sidewalk and it was fine. It's
Hmm.
bizarre.
That is crazy. Like, you got me thinking, I'm like, "Was my back hurting?" But no, my back wasn't hurting. It was just more like from here, just
Mhm.
this, and it was right around the chair. Like, and I saw, I think, a video, Mary, of you doing maybe an Estes sitting in the chair, that
mm,
big one. And that's where I was standing when it hit me, and it was just like,
yeah. I think the chair has affected people before.
"Really?
Yes, yes, and there are stories attached to the chair.
Really? I didn't know that."
It used to be in the shop directly adjacent to the Witchboard Museum. I think there's like a witchcraft shop in there, and they would do
Mhm.
psychic readings on it. And John had said they actually wanted to get rid of the chair, so they gave it to John.
There's a
Man,
matching chair, I believe it's still over
Yeah, there's
there.
still a matching chair over there.
really?
And I think, we knew that there was something surrounding the chair, so I said, "Let's post up and sit in the chair." Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it.
Yep. Yep.
maybe the chair, you know?
Might be the chair, because that's where I was when I was like, "Ugh."
Mhm, yep.
Interesting.
And
Huh.
then after he confirmed a little more with the chair about some things that had happened. An older lady who had sat in the chair, and I think she was sitting in the chair and she got her hearing aids started to like ring, and then she heard somebody
Oh,
yell, "Get out." And it was funny because when I was in the chair, I got "get out," which it wasn't super aggressive, but it was just, "Get out." And so
wow.
And watch it. And I don't know, there was definitely something that was trying to push us out of there. And then,
don't hurt yourself.
yeah, don't hurt yourself. And we
Well,
can't say it was like
That's
directly related to the paranormal, but while we were in the middle of investigating, there's a door that goes to like a very small back alleyway where there's
uh-huh.
just a couple of trash cans. And, we were talking to some sort of entity, with the paranormal music box on the floor, and then you just heard boom, 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 and then something started rubbing the middle of the door. It was really kind of strange, and
from the
Did y'all
outside.
yeah,
open the
yeah,
door and make sure nobody was back there?
no, we didn't.
No, because it
Okay,
was
I don't say I
alarming.
don't think I could blame you. I'm
But
like,
I just
Not
kind
going by
of
there."
thought, okay, we're in the middle of Salem. There are people around,
Yeah.
maybe someone's touching the door. I was like, which we hadn't been back there. And so after, we spoke to John about it and he was like, well, that would be really weird just because of the way it's situated. And
Mhm.
it's all private residence back there. And
Oh,
he's like, I think it would be very strange for somebody to come down and bang and rub on that door. And I was like, okay.
I can
wow.
Great.
find a picture.
That's crazy. Next time I come to Salem, I'm gonna let y'all know, because it's not that I had a bad experience there. We did Fall River and Salem in the same day.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
Ooh.
yes, but we only had so many days in that area, so we were trying to squeeze everything in. And we went to Fall River in the morning, had a tour at like 10 or 10:30 a.m. at the Borden House, and then we tried to see Caven, but they were at the Historical Society in a meeting, and they were looking at some historical items from the Lizzie Borden house, and just so many artifacts. Well, we got to go. So we headed to Salem. And then we were like, Boston and Salem are only 14 miles from each other, but yet it takes 54 minutes. Holy crap.
Yeah.
We felt like we were in the car all day long. And so by the time we got to Salem, it was like 3 in the afternoon, and we hadn't eaten, so I had to eat because I was about to turn into a demon myself.
Mhm.
Eh, so we went to find food, but then, everything like, we had missed a lot of the activities that people do, I guess, during the day, and so I didn't see what I wanted to see, but then I met one of my people that I follow. She's actually a tour guide in Salem, and so I met her about 7, and she gave us, like, a private tour around
Oh,
Salem,
nice.
so that was really cool.
Mhm.
But, yeah, I feel like I missed so much there.
No, we would love to take you around,
Oh, for
show you
sure.
around for sure. Maybe Daniel and I could fart on Essex Street together.
Oh, Jesus.
You can.
Mary and I are going away. Y'all have fun with your fart.
We'll go in the museum.
We'll go see John. "Hi, John, the guys are farting outside."
Yeah, great.
He's gonna be
I don't
like,
I don't know if you can see this, if I can block it, but that's the alley.
That's the door
Yeah,
there.
that's the door.
That's about where the rubbing would have been.
"Interesting. Can you send that to me so I can see it on my phone?"
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And that way I won't share it, I'll just look at it.
Oh, you can share it all you
Yeah,
want.
you can yeah,
Interesting.
fine. No, it was really strange. I'm
Huh.
excited to go back and see how it
I
is.
really like John. I could listen to his stories about the boards all day long.
Oh my
He's
god.
such a good storyteller.
He
Amazing.
is.
Amazing. And he has so much there's just so much passion behind it
Yes.
and care for what he does, and you can feel that. And I love listening to him. I've told Liam, I was
Mhm.
like, we actually have to be like, okay, we need to go. Cause like let's not make it weird. I could just sit here and listen to him do his tour over and over and over. It's really
Yeah.
fun. I love
When I
it.
had him on the episode, I was just like, and I had a really bad experience with the Ouija board when I was younger, and I have not touched one since. Yeah.
You put it.
Yeah, he did. And I actually went because he's kind of reassured me. He's like, "It is what you make of it. It's all about intention, just like anything else in the spiritual world. Like, it's all about intent, everything." So I did buy one from Five Below because they're so pretty and they're purple, and my
Oh yeah,
studio's
those are cute.
purple. But if you look, it's not in here. I haven't put it in here yet. I was like, I'm still hesitant.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. I think that anything in life that scares you to revisit
Mhm,
it takes a little bit of courage, and it doesn't matter what it is. And I
mhm.
had experiences when I was 16 using Ouija boards with friends, and we really used them a lot. And the more we used them, the more things would happen. And I didn't understand at the time, I didn't understand my sensitivities and
Mhm. Yeah.
how that comes into play when you open yourself up to spirit
Mhm.
communication. And I think it's the same with any tool that you use. If you're going
Yeah.
to open yourself up and welcome a conversation, you probably will get one. And if you ask for certain things, they might oblige you. So, yeah.
Well, what's so funny is we're talking about talking to other sides, and I have this running, and it just said, well, it said Sophia, but before it said Sophia, it said, "I told them nothing."
I told them nothing.
I
Well,
told them nothing. Okay.
maybe that goes back to the witchboard investigation.
Yeah.
He really didn't tell us a
No.
lot. He was just mean.
Yeah, that's kind of when it came through. Like, it's been pretty, it says elderly now, but I mean, it's been pretty, like, really not saying much, but it said when you were talking about, like, the door and the chair, I told them nothing. It's like,
Mhm.
It's accurate.
It's
okay.
accurate. Yeah. Had a lot to say, but nothing about himself.
Right. He wants to be the only one you talk to, but he's not gonna tell you anything.
Right.
What I
That's what it
liked
felt
about
like.
John when he was on my episode is, like, he's very careful because he doesn't want to sway anybody's opinion about anything. Like,
Mhm.
he's like, "It's information, it is what you make of it," and just listening to him, it's just like, you're not out here trying to persuade people, or sell them on
Mhm.
something. He's just
Yep.
like you said, he's passionate about the Ouija board.
Yep. The history that he has that he shared, there was a lot of stuff I didn't know. And it was so
Yeah.
fascinating to hear about
Yeah.
the origins and kind of where they came from and
Mhm.
how that changed over time. And just all of the stuff that he collects, the advertisements and the posters, so fun to look at and see all of
We
that.
were in there forever.
Yep.
Like, once I got past the sickness, just looking at
So much to see.
All of it.
Yeah.
Yes, it was like, "Wow, this is so cool." Just the newspaper articles too, like the woman and the daughters that, like, killed the husband because the Ouija board told him to do it.
Yeah. I know.
That's why we keep our Ouija boards downstairs in bins.
Gotta watch out
His
for those
Ouija
Ouija boards.
boards. They're not mine. I'm still in your place. Like so I did an episode with Adam Berry and I talked a little bit
Cool.
about my Ouija experience, just a tiny bit. And he's been fascinated. He's been wanting to collect, but I've been holding him off. And then finally I was like, you know, went down and he talked to John and it was really eye-opening. And I was like, this is
Yeah.
just something, it's in me. I mean, all of the investigating I do and the things that I do, none of it's really any different, you know?
No,
It's just a block that I have because I got scared once.
it's a fear.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, and I said, "Well, do what you wanna do," and so we have some in the house. We haven't used them.
I've never used one.
I'm pretty sure we
Ever?
probably will. No, he never has.
No, that'll probably change at some point. Because like
Mhm.
she was saying, like John, he doesn't try to sway people, but just kind of delivers factual information. And when I started thinking about it more, like we have all these tools, like we have the paranormal
Yeah.
music box, we have the REM pod, we have digital recorders, but when you turn the switch off, communication's done. Like, and that's
Yeah.
kind of how I'm starting to look at Ouija boards is like, if I'm
Mhm.
not touching the board, the switch is off. Like it's
Mhm.
not opening a portal. It's no different. Like if something's here, something's here. We've done a really good job of setting boundaries in our house so we don't have to really kind of deal with that stuff anymore. I got tired of
Anymore?
anymore. I got tired of them setting my Xbox off over and over again, turning the basement lights on.
Yep.
I was like, no, you
Oh,
gotta
it's
stop.
Mm. Yeah, so in my haunted house, so I lived in a haunted house as well, and it really changes your brain chemistry when you live in it. It really affects the way you look at the paranormal and you see things like that. Like, and I was just talking to another Liam this morning from the Spooky Shed podcast. He's my buddy in the UK. And we've talked before, but it's like when you experience something paranormal, you can go one of two ways. You can become so fearful of it, like, get it away from me. I don't want to talk about it. It's evil. Or you become like we do. And it's like, let's talk about it. Let's start a podcast. Let's meet everybody that's ever had an experience. Tell me everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's no in between.
No, there kind of isn't. Cause like I said earlier, the second we got into it and started seeing the actual results, like this stuff actually happening, it's just
Hmm.
you have to find out more. I mean, I'll speak for myself. Like I have to find out more.
Right.
Like,
Right.
one of the sessions we were having yesterday, like we were doing an Estes session at the Magic
That
Lantern,
was
and the conversation wasn't kind of really going anywhere, but the responses were dead on. And so
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, I'm going to stop talking about Stephen King and the theater. And I'm going to be like, what happens on the other side? Like, can you see us? What's going on? And at one point, I said, I'm under the impression that I'm talking to a spirit. Am I talking to a spirit right now? And she just said, yeah. Like right after, I was like, okay, so that makes sense. And it's
Yeah.
just got to know more.
That's funny because when I did the Estes, I've only done it once. Well, no, that's a lie. I've done it twice. I did it at my sister's house because she has a video and my sister's sensitive too, but she is not open. So, we're completely night and day. It scares her. It fascinates me. It fascinates her as well, but there's a fear of it. And her husband's very sensitive as well. But he's like, if you start acknowledging it, then it gets worse. And I'm thinking, bring it on. But I respect everybody. I respect everybody's beliefs, like, and I understand that we share the same blood and the same family, but we are very different when it comes to experiences, and I am open to them. They are not. But she was in the kitchen and she had the knife kind of like on something and it fell. Like she had walked away and was on the other side of the kitchen and she had triggered the ring because she was in the kitchen. So the ring was recording, just happened to be still recording, and the knife fell and started just like shaking.
yeah.
And so she's like, calls me. She's like, oh, no, and sends me the video. So I'm like, I'm on my way. So I get my stuff together and I'm like, well, let's do the Estes. I said, I don't have the greatest headphones, so try to be quiet. And so I put the headphones on and all I heard was the cat. Well, I asked later, I'm like, what did you ask when I heard the cat? And she said, did anybody die here? So her cat had actually died in the house. She was very elderly. but the cat ended up passing away during the moving process. And so it makes sense that that might have been the cat jumping up on the counter.
100%.
Wow. Yeah. I hope that my cat haunts me.
Yes, my cat does. So I'm not sure how you what you feel about reincarnation, but I never really thought about it until I got into this community. And then I would meet people and I'm like, I have a friend up in Virginia. She's with Beyond the Badge Paranormal. Her name is Jess Webb. She is a psychic medium. And
Well,
I swore,
we know Jeremy.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Jeremy's amazing. So Jess, she told me, she's like, Ashley, I'm pretty sure we were at one point like sisters or friends or family in some
Yeah.
way, some form or fashion in a previous life. And I believe it because we've never met yet. I feel like I've known her my entire life. And then my cat, Blush, she was 20 when she passed. I had her since I was 13 years old. And after she passed, I went to the shelter and I found Lily. Lily looked just like Blush, but Lily was about 4 years old. And I
Really?
walked in and this cat spotted me and locked eyes with me and tracked me everywhere I went in the shelter. And so I was like, I want this cat. And they're like, no, she's a stray. She's not a family cat. She's really standoffish with people. I'm like, let me just hold the cat. So they got the cat out. They gave her to me. She started purring. And they're like, she's never done that. Well, then Lily passed away from feline leukemia last summer before I moved into this house. And I told Daniel, I'm done with cats. I don't want any more animals. After the dogs are gone, after the cats are gone, that way we can travel because I want to travel. I want to see everything. And animals, I love them, but they make it's hard to do things, you know? And our kids are getting older, so we're finally at a place where we can do more things, but the animals, they're very expensive to board. So I was like, I don't want any more animals. Unless it's a black cat, I don't want anything else. Well, then this man goes to work and finds a black kitten. And I'm like, shit. And he's like, look what I found you. And she was 3 weeks old and her name is Mavis. And you've probably seen her because I share her. She has a little page and I share her stuff. She's crazy. She's psychotic, but I love her. Well, she has Lily's eyes. And if I am not home with Mavis, if I am traveling, I will actually dream of Lily and I can actually feel the footprints on the bed and she will curl up and fall asleep behind my back and I can feel her. But if I wake up, she's not there. But if I am in that half awake, half asleep realm, she is right there. And I swear Lily is Blush reincarnated, but now Mavis is Lily.
I
And
I'm tracking and I love it. It just
I'll
is
send you a picture of the 3 of them. They have the same eyes. It's the eyes.
Well, you said that, I think we were talking about, I can't remember, you and I had chatted about something and talking about, oh, Pearl. And you had said, you don't believe in coincidences and I don't either. So
Pearl.
it's funny because our current cat, who's your cat,
she's 14.
her name is Lily. And then Pearl, so like the coincidence of Pearl was like she wound up having a family member. We checked with her dad named Pearl and was a significant person in the family. And it's so weird because like it seems like everything just winds up being connected. And especially the more you delve into this kind of
Mhm.
work, if you want to call it, or this sector is like, so you're connected to Beyond the Badge Paranormal with, I'm sorry, Jess? Is that her name?
Jess. Yeah, they're psychic medium.
Yeah. So we wound up meeting Jeremy at the Para Unity conference in New Jersey a
Well, I
year
mean,
ago, actually.
oddly, it's an odd story, but he watched us get married before we knew him, right? So
What?
that was a year ago.
Yeah. So there was a guy that I kept seeing before, like, because a year ago they ran the conference Saturday and Sunday. They did it for 2 days. And like I kept bumping into a guy at the hotel and like just having like friendly conversation. And I told her a bunch of times, like, I feel like I recognize this guy and I could never put a finger on it.
Mhm.
And Chip Coffee was there last year, and on a whim, she decided to buy tickets for the gallery reading. And so we wound up going. And she was like, how cool would it be for you to get, like, if your mom came through? And I was like, that would be really cool. And I'm like, what are the odds that I'm going to get picked? Because there was probably like at least 100 people
Maybe
there.
5 or 6 people got
Yeah.
chosen, and you were
I wound up being like the 4th one. And so he called on me and obviously I said I wanted to connect to my mom and he managed to connect with her, and some, the things that he said seemed pretty spot on. And then he looked at her and he said, "Who are you?"
Are you the wife?
"Yeah, are you the wife?" And she said, "No, I'm the fiance." And then out of the blue, he was like, "Well, I'm an ordained minister. Like, how would you guys like to get married right now?" And we were like,
He's like, I can
"What?"
do your nuptials here in the presence with your mom present. Would you like to do this right now? We were
Me.
like, and I have a dress, he has a suit. We had a very busy, hectic life with my career and illness that I'm going through. And we decided that I would make the move. We were, a ways apart. It was long distance for many years. We decided I would make the move and I'd come down and we'd get settled. I started to get more sick and we're like, well, we're gonna get married. But it was all kind of like when we gotta start making plans. And so when that happened, I looked at him and I was like, "Yes?" And he's like, "Yes." And all right, here we go, and he said a little thing and
Yeah, he said a little
now we're
thing, and then
married.
we,
Really cool.
we hugged on it, and I think we might have done the smooch. But Jeremy was there, and Jeremy was like witness to it, and we bumped into him again and at the hotel, and we just kept talking from there, and we started following him from there. But it's just so weird how like all
Wow.
of these little things, like it almost feels like, we were thrust into doing this. Like this was supposed to happen, and all these little synchronicities keep happening. I don't know
Mhm.
if you watched, if you're familiar with the Newkirks and watched Hellier at all, but they
Mm-mm.
start going into synchronicities in that, and that's a whole other podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Everything is connected. Everything that is something that I've learned in the past 3 years doing this, everything is connected. Everything that's meant to happen happens when it's supposed to happen. The universe will sometimes rip you apart to put it back together the right way. It is everything happens when it's supposed to happen, and everything is, and if you don't believe that, then okay, that's fine. But truly, with my experience in my life and the people that I've met, even the horrible people that I've met, everything has happened for a reason to make me personally who I am and to get me where I'm supposed to be, to make me a better wife, mother, podcaster, psychic,
Yeah.
whatever I am. Everything happens to put you in the position to get you where you're supposed to be.
Yeah. I believe that 100%.
Mhm.
Sometimes those hard times, there are things and lessons, things you had to learn to get to a place of where you can accept the good things and really appreciate them and understand them,
That's right.
a little later in life. And so you look back at that stuff and you're like, why did that happen to me? And you're like, it was really good that it did because now
Yeah.
I'm here and
Yeah.
I understand life and my situation. So yeah.
Yep. I was talking to somebody the other day and I told her, I was like, she's younger. She's like in her, not early 20s, late 20s, maybe 27, I think is what she said. And she's had a really rough few years. And I was like, I know it doesn't feel like it now, but trust me from your elder, trust me when I say you're going to get through this, your story is going to help somebody. Sometimes we go through what we go through for the simple fact of one, you're strong enough to withstand it, but two, you are the person that's going to help somebody in the future. You don't have to know them yet.
Yeah.
Like you're going to be somebody saving grace one day. Your story is going to inspire somebody to keep going. And the way I feel about it, like especially like through my hard times, because I've been married several times. Like my first husband was really abusive, and it was I never understood, like, because everybody's like, God, everything happens for a reason. And me, I'm like, why did God allow me to go through that?
Hmm.
Why would he put somebody so horrible on this planet? But then it's like, 20 years later, I'm like, I had to go through that to one, appreciate Daniel because Daniel is a wonderful husband and be able to help other women. I'm a huge, huge advocate for women and I think women are amazing and I believe every woman should have a voice and I get real passionate about it real quick. So I have to watch myself because I just will go. But it's because I lived in fear. I lived where I wasn't allowed to wear certain things. I wasn't allowed to go certain places. If I went out with friends, my phone was blowing up. I couldn't even enjoy where I was. Like I was isolated and I survived it. And I am actually I beat the odds because technically I wasn't supposed to live. Like he would have killed me if he could, but and he tried. Don't
Hmm.
don't think for a second he didn't try because he tried. and I made it, and I'm a survivor story. I am proof that you can get through it. You can get better. I can send you a picture of what I look like then and what I look like now, and I look like a completely different person. I look actually 20 years younger than I did then. It's insane, and I was in my early 20s then. It's insanity. But yeah, everything happens for a reason, and sometimes you just don't know it until you meet that person or something happens 20 years later and you're like,
Yeah.
"Okay,
Yeah.
Makes sense.
yep, now I get it." Has there been a place that's ever scared the crap out of you?
So there's a ballroom in town, and I've lived in and out of this town for a few periods of my life. And so I've been into the ballroom when I was a child. And so we reached out and like there's gotta be energy there. Like it's close to 100 years old.
Right.
So many people have been there. People have actually died on the dance floor. Like people going there, doing their, whatever dances they were doing, and then their heart just gave out.
Just dance themselves.
Well, at
Yeah.
least they went out having fun, right?
Right. No, that's
Exactly what I said.
so that's the benefit of that at least. But so we were like, okay, we met with the owners. They were like, yeah, we experienced joy here. They were very interested in having us come in there. They were like, we'd love to see what you can find. We've seen a lady in a white dress, and then we get in there and it was stonewall, like absolute stonewall, and like
Kill them.
discomfort in
Mhm.
the stonewall. Like when we first started, she picked up like a message in her head, and she said, I heard in my head, if you go looking for trouble, you're going to find it.
No.
Yeah.
And we had no responses on equipment except for like temperature fluctuations on the REM pod, which, we tried to, we had the thermometer, the laser thermometer gun, we're trying to verify that like, okay, there aren't swings of temperature going up or down 5 degrees to make this go off. It was pretty constant.
Mhm.
But other than that, like you just felt like you were being watched the
Mhm.
entire time in disapproval. Excuse me.
Yes.
And it was uncomfortable.
Yes.
That was probably the creepiest place that we've been. We did get some responses on the spirit box. We have a couple of spirit boxes, and we were just letting one go. We weren't doing like Estes. We were like, if you tell us to leave, we'll go. And then you just hear leave come over it. And we're like, okay, we'll
All
pack up.
right.
And we
End
turned the
year.
spirit box off. And then something scurried across the metal roof. The sloped metal roof just scurried across the roof. And we were like, what the
The way
fuck
that
was
he
that?
described it, he's like, it sounded like it had flippers. And I was like,
It sounded like a duck ran
you're
across a
not
metal roof.
wrong. Like it was so strange. Um,
That
I don't
happened in
know.
here. Did y'all
No
see
way.
that video when I was doing the rods and something scurried across my roof? I think it's on Instagram. I have to look. This is a ceiling. So this is
Yeah.
walls right here.
Mhm.
On the other side of this is insulation, and on the other side of that are shingles. So there's no attic I am in the attic. So there's roof over me. And
Right.
I was doing a dowsing rod session, and they were crossing, and then I heard,
Ugh.
Ew.
and I was like, "What the hell was that?" It sounded awfully big. It could have been a squirrel, but like you'll have to watch it. I'll see if it's on Instagram. If it is, I'll send it to you. It was like one of those like, "What was that?" And I have a sloped roof. I'm on a 2-story house, and there's nothing over me. There's no
Mhm.
trees over me. There's nothing over me. And it was just so weird. But the Green Park Inn in Blowing Rock, North Carolina, they do not like their haunted history. They are one of the most haunted hotels in North Carolina. They will not talk to you about it. They used to have like a
Oh,
paranormal book, but I did not see it. We walked in, and my husband, who's a skeptic, he's not really anymore, but he was. And we both stopped because it felt like you just walked into a very busy place and everybody stopped and looked at you, but we were the only ones standing there. And it was
mhm.
like, it's unsettling.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
I love stories like that. Years ago, before, I liked the paranormal. I didn't have anyone to share it with. I didn't
Mhm.
have equipment or anything like that. But I went to the Biltmore Hotel in downtown Los Angeles
Mhm.
and stayed there. And I didn't do my research. Like I didn't realize that it's extremely haunted. I know it's an
Yes.
old hotel, right? It's
Right.
beautiful. I didn't
Haunted.
really think about it. I was just like, oh, this is going to be so fun. I'm going to Los Angeles. I'm going to stay in this old, hotel, what a great time until the we could the radio would just come on and you turn it off and it just come on and you turn it like, all right, whatever, I guess that could happen. Maybe it's got a loose little dial and you walk around and who knows. But then the bathroom door would open and close. We'd leave there and to the point where you noticed it and was like, okay, we're gonna leave. The
Mhm.
door's closed, it's stuck here, and you come over to be wide open. Right. So then I'm like, is this hotel haunted? Because I had to sleep here for 2 nights.
Right.
And so I was like, I'm going to ask the staff. They did not. And I think that they were told, like, they were not going to talk to you about it. But they were making faces like you're making right now, but I had nothing to say. And I was just like,
Mm.
what is going on? So then I go and I get on my phone and then I find, I go and I find that people have investigated there. And I was like, this hotel is haunted. This is really creepy.
Yeah,
So in the middle of the night, I was like, well, I got to go explore. Right. They have a
naturally, of
second
course.
floor, but it it doesn't have a button on the elevator, so you can't get there. And so I went and talked to some maintenance guys, and they took me down a maintenance elevator to the second floor. And I guess it used to be it was a hospital for
Oh,
something. I don't know, but they used it for storage. And I was down there and the lights were flickering, it was so creepy. And I went through it and there had been a fire apparently at some time. There was like a ballroom that was closed off that still had soot all over it. And then I went up to the penthouse and I let myself in there because nobody was in it. And, I just like, so
Mary
this
now
has
owns that
always been
hotel.
in me, and
Yeah.
I ended up taking a picture looking out over the dining area from the balcony. I mean, you'll see it a lot in movies and commercials. It's the staircase that has the 2 big griffins.
Mhm,
It's just really beautiful.
mhm.
And there was a couple of the wait staff in there, and they were finishing up doing something, and I was like, "I really want this picture with nobody in it," so I kinda stood there for a while. When they left, I took a picture, and I got something really, really strange in the picture. It was part silhouette of a person, but you could see a chair through it as well. It was really kinda
Mhm,
strange. And I
mhm.
sent it to the show, I think it was like Fact or Faked, Paranormal something, Fact or Faked. I sent it to them and they were like, wow, this is pretty cool. We don't know what this is. So I think it's paranormal. So this has kind of been brewing in me, but I didn't have anybody to share it with. And so then he came along and then it's just been a lot of fun.
That's awesome. I kinda forced Daniel into it, like well, we were living in it, and he didn't believe in this kinda stuff, and we were, like, full-blown fighting because what I was experiencing, he wasn't. He's more sensitive than he realizes, but he's so scientific and knowledge and logic-based that he just "It's a bug." I'm like, "Hell is wrong with you? It is not a bug." But, like, we were ready to come to blows. I was ready to divorce, like, "Go away, get away from me," because he was and y'all gonna know what I mean. There are people out there that are so condescending when you talk about this stuff, and they talk to you like you're stupid, like there's something wrong with you, and
Mhm.
you're like, "There's nothing wrong with me. What's wrong with you?" But anyway,
No.
but he was like that. He was being so condescending. He was being just an ass. And then he started experiencing it, and that's when he was like, "Okay, okay, okay. Ashley's experiencing this, but on a different level." So once he started experiencing things, like, he was more open to it, and it's yeah. But I mean, it is. It's one of those things. It's like once you start experiencing it, it is hard to look at it any other way. Like, and I think skepticism is good to have a healthy level of because not everything is paranormal. Like, that's
Exactly.
just reality. But there's a lot of things that are.
And I think if you're not open to them, you can go throughout your daily life and you just ignore them or
Yeah,
you brush them off as a bug or
it's a
something.
bug.
And some people, it all comes in a lot more forcefully than it does for others, I think.
Yeah.
And I've always had these sensitivities and gotten this information and had some validation over the years, but I would kind of suppress that. Like I said, I didn't have anyone to share it with. You kind of feel like you sound crazy. Never mind,
Yeah.
never mind, never mind. And since we have gotten into this and I've really opened myself up to spirit communication, I have created boundaries for myself, but also been more open. Things are developing and happening, and it's almost kind of uncomfortable. I don't have a mentor. You don't have, you're like, what do I do with this? How do I separate it? How do I know what is information I'm getting and what is just random thoughts I'm coming up with? Because I get a lot of them and they make absolutely no sense. So it's like,
Uh-huh.
how do they come in and what do they mean? And sometimes mine come in the middle of the night. Wake up in the middle of the night and I'm like, I just heard a man's voice like distinctly say, she lived in 1902 and she liked to snowshoe. And I just say it out loud because I'm like, make a note of that. We'll see what we come across. It's just the weirdest stuff.
Yeah.
But
I get it. When I'm going to sleep, I will hear stuff. Like the other night I was going to sleep and I'm an insomniac. So once I'm going to sleep, I am going to sleep and I am
Mhm.
medicated. So, that's another factor. It's like, was that my medication? Am I hallucinating because it's ambient
I
or is it true? But I was going to bed one night and I just heard laughter and I knew it was, my ambient, I'm on 2.5 milligrams. I've been on that stuff for a long time.
yeah,
2.5 milligrams is not enough to make me hallucinate.
it's not.
So no, but 10, maybe, but 2.5, not so much. So I'm on 5, but I break them in half because I'm trying to wean myself off of them. But I was going to sleep and I had closed my eyes and I heard just hysterical laughter and my eyes shot open. And I was like, I am awake all day long. If you want to communicate, you're going to have to get me in the waking hours, not when I'm going to sleep. Or one night I heard sobbing. Like I thought it was my daughters. I got up and went and checked on them because it was a female crying and neither one of them were crying. And I'm like, okay. And then something happened the other night. I heard somebody tell me something, but I cannot tell you what it was. Because I mean, y'all need to come when I'm awake, not when I'm
You're
going to sleep, rude.
I think we've started getting just yesterday in a spirit box session, started getting confirmation from spirit. Just weird things, and I don't remember exactly how that all played out. I think you were
Mm,
asking the questions, but
Yeah, I
that's
don't,
weird.
she had before we had gotten there, she had something said she, like, kinda did a meditation. She's like, "I'm just seeing a G and an A and, like, a type font,
so
and it's kinda just, like, rotating, and I don't know if that's significant." And then we're up on the stage getting ready to plug her in for an Estes session, and she was just asking, like, "I saw a letter G and a letter A, is that significant?" And then the music box starts going
on the
off, and the
Bible
REM
side
pod,
for
yeah,
me,
it was really
everything's just
weird.
going on, but I think
I
it was
just
during
got the name Gabe.
Gabriel is the name that I wrote down at the Witchboard Museum. It's
I
on
got
my
the
note.
name Gabe. And
Oh,
it
that's
says
fucked up.
Gabe is trapped.
Is what?
Trapped.
Trapped.
So we got stuck here. We got lost at the Witchboard Museum. This is
Okay.
weird.
What was it yesterday? The investigation we did yesterday was really fun for me because I knew a little bit of history of the property because the former owners of the building were my bosses and I
Hmm.
worked across the parking lot from that building. So I knew a little bit about it and going in and I had been in there before. And so I was able to ask, if do you remember me? I've been here before. At one point they said my name. And then I think you were on the stage and you were asking
Yeah,
questions.
I asked, is Mary familiar to you? Do you recognize her? And they said gifted. And I said, yes, she's very
Oh,
gifted. And they said, she's helping me or something like that. I can't
oh,
remember off the top of my head. Yeah,
That's
it was really touching.
and I
that's
believe it may have been
awesome.
the father of my former boss. That's the names his name had come through a couple of times. It was very, very
What was
interesting.
his name?
His name was Frank.
Frank. I haven't gotten
Yes,
Frank.
if you get anything.
I have gotten Jack, Elijah, which Elijah is the son's name of my first guest this morning. I've gotten Jack, Elijah, Dylan, and who was the one earlier?
I know people by all of those names.
Are they alive?
Yeah,
Okay, well, that's better,
that is
Hopefully
better.
they're okay. Go check on them. Yeah. Send them a text. I have this really cool ability, Mary, you probably do too, and Liam, you probably do too, since you're sensitive as well. It's like you just know when something's going on with your friends, and it's like they'll just I'm just doing nothing, and all of a sudden they'll just like their face will pop in my head or their name. I'll hear their name, and I'm like, hold up. Like last week, it was a friend in Missouri,
Wow.
and then like my girls, like on my birthday, my daughter was with her dad, and I just started crying. I was doing my makeup, and I just started crying, and I text her. I was like, "You okay?" And she's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Are you crying?" She goes, "I was a second ago," and I was like, "Okay." So like
do you get anything through dreams?
Yes. Not much right now because I'm so tired and sleep deprived, and so if I'm not writing them down, I'm not remembering them, but if I'm trying to make an effort of writing them down, yes, I will.
Yeah. I've gotten quite a few things from dreams. Just talking about a friend, just recently, I had a dream that one of my close friends from high school that she's about to become a grandmother. It was a very specific dream, and I have not
Wow.
told her, and I don't plan to because I don't think she's ready for that information.
I'm gonna
But
say, I'm sure she
I'm
can't be old enough to be a
true.
grandmother.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, she had all of her kids pretty quickly right after high school. Like,
Okay, okay, so she's young, but had them young.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. There've definitely been a lot of things. Actually, her brother had passed, and I knew him well. He passed when he was 20, in a car
Mm,
accident. And I had had quite a few dreams, and I had one specific dream, like a visitation dream, and he came and he wanted me to tell her something.
mhm.
And what he was telling me was bizarre and made no sense to me. And he said, "Tell her I said about the salami." And I'm
What?
like, "That what?" Like, that just sounds like nonsense, right? And I also,
Right.
like, weird, And I s and he was adamant that I had to tell her that he came and he had the salami, and then it was hard salami, and I was like, "What are we doing here?" So I finally get up the courage to tell her because I also didn't know how it would affect her because his
Right.
passing affected her quite a bit.
Of course.
I guess that so I told her and it made perfect sense to her and she couldn't believe it. She said, and I didn't know this, that one of the special things that she and her dad and her brother would do is they'd go to the grocery store and they'd buy a huge, like 2 pounds of Genoa hard salami. And then they would literally just stand at the kitchen counter and eat the entire bag. And that was kind of like their thing. And I didn't know that. So that was really weird. Sometimes it seems
That's
abstract
funny.
and random and you kind of second guess yourself, but I think what I'm learning is to, like, trust your intuition. If you get a message, like, and you feel comfortable and you don't think it's gonna hurt anybody, like, share it because it may
Yeah.
mean something.
Yep, I've learned that as well. I get some weird stuff. I got a message for a friend's friend. At the time, I didn't know her. I know her now, but at the time, I did not know her. I was just getting names. I was getting random things, random numbers. And on our episode, her friend watched and listened and put it together that it was her. And the moment my friend contacted me and said, "Hey, what you were talking about, that is this person." It just came through. It was like that. I was like, and I mean, I knew things about her mother that I shouldn't have known. I've known. I mean, like it was just, and I was able to deliver a message, and it was just so random. And I was like, "This is weird. This is really
It's
weird."
very strange to accept it, but it's yeah, it's a whole thing. Liam is definitely sensitive to buildings.
I
I don't know what that's called, but, like,
I don't know what in terms of like the mental stuff, like I still get kind of tripped up and I think it's like ego and trying to remain logical and whatever and like
Mhm.
being like, oh, if I think that it's incorrect, but I can feel I can feel if something's around. There's a
mhm.
shed on her mom's property up in Maine, and for 2 years I said, there's something in there. Like we need to go in there.
I was like, "Yeah, kayaks." Like,
There's boats in there.
But the last time we went up to visit, our nieces wanted to see our equipment. So, we showed them the equipment in the house and they were like, oh, let's go to the old dilapidated house at the end of the road. And we're like, no, that's not safe. It's raining. You know what? Let's just go out to the shed. And so we did. And we turned the music box on. And then after it calibrated, it did not stop going off for 20 minutes.
I mean, you had to ask it to say, "Okay, please stop," so that we can figure out a way to communicate, and it would stop. And it would start it again, and it was just obvious that something was going on there, and he's like, "I told you there was something in here." I was like, "I don't what though?" Like, my stepdad built the shed, on the land, but that doesn't mean that there's not something just attached to the property or the old dilapidated house next door
Mm.
that has a ton of creepy energy, who knows?
I can walk
Mm.
into a building and know if somebody's died there or somebody's there or if it's sad or if it's happy or if it's
Right.
because everything has energy. Everything is energy. Everything is a vibration. I truly believe everybody is clairsentient in some form or fashion. It's whether or not you're open to it.
100%.
Right? We had a strange experience. There's an old, um, inn nearby,
Oh,
And we
yeah.
didn't know any history about it. It's beautiful. It sits way up on this hill. We drive by it all the time.
Mhm.
And they do have a restaurant in it, and you can stay there. And, it just makes sense that it might be haunted when you're looking at it. It's just really old, and,
Built in the
so I was like,
1600s, I think.
we were like, let's go have dinner there. I was like, it's probably haunted, how fun. But we didn't know any of the history, right?
Right.
And so we get there and it's beautiful inside and they take you down into an old tavern. We're having dinner and it's got the old original, brick walls and stuff. Liam's sitting there and he's like, and I was like, "Do you feel something?" And he's like, "I don't know." And he like puts his hand on the wall and he's like, "I'm seeing like a battle."
I just got the thought in my
Yeah.
head, like, I just
Yeah.
touched the wall, and then in my head, I just thought Indian raid. I'm like, "That is very
And I
strange and
I
odd."
was like, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
Can
there's a
you do
lot of
that with
native
objects too?
history everywhere, in New Hampshire, I guess.
We went
Can you do
upstairs
that with
and
objects? Like, can you hold something and feel it? Because there's another word for that, and I can't think of it right
yeah,
now when
that's
you hold an object.
psychometry.
That's what?
Psychometry, I think?
I don't know.
I would need to play with that a little more, but that was just really weird, and so we went upstairs and we talked to the lady behind the desk, and we were like, "How creepy does it get here at night?" So she
Stays there all night. Just sits down there.
and so she starts telling us a little bit about the history, and then she's like, "Have you guys seen the Indian shutters?" And we're like, "Our
Original.
Indian shutters." And she was like, "There are these shutters that like slide in. They're almost like pocket doors on the side of the windows,
Wow.
and they slide shut." And it was to prevent arrows coming through during Indian raids. And there was an actual massacre
It's the
in
massacre
Durham.
of Valentine Hill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was messed
Took
up.
place on that property. And so I'm just looking at him and I'm like, wow, you're a weirdo. Like, this is great.
That is
I
awesome.
like this. This is fun.
This guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. We,
So we actually have a weird story too about when we stayed there. But go ahead.
Yeah.
no, you go ahead.
No, you okay? So yeah, we went back. I'll try to keep it brief. So we booked a room. We were like, all right, we got to check it out, and we didn't really get much. Like we kind of got. I mean, we have K2 meters that read EMF, and we don't really hold a lot of stock into that unless you get some real intelligent movement. Like there was a router downstairs, so like
Mhm.
maybe like nothing really happened on the REM pod, nothing happened on the music box. So we started to do an Estes session and we tried to get an some EVPs. And like we got an EVP that kind of sounded like, Rick or like,
It,
kind of starting
Yeah.
that.
you
Then we
didn't
got,
realize it at the time, though. You could hear it. You were
yeah.
like, like,
And
I don't understand what they're saying.
Right.
we were doing an Estes session and like we got the name Eric that came across and we were like, okay, how old are you? And it said like 4, 3, 4, 3. We were like, are you 43? Like what's going on? And we couldn't really make sense of it.
Right.
And we wound up stopping the session because, it kind of took a dark turn and,
Mm.
we heard rape and, hurt. And we were like, okay, do you want us to
Jesus.
stop? And then it said stop. And so I tapped her out. I'm like, okay, we're done here.
Yeah.
And we didn't really know what to make of that. And the bed was really uncomfortable. So and the shower was cold. So we
It's like 10
decided
minutes from
it's
our
10
house.
minutes from our house.
So
So in the middle of
we
a
drove
We
snowstorm,
home.
we
went
just packed
home.
up. Yeah. We went home. We're like, this isn't worth it. And then the next day, like we're trying to look into the family history. Like, is there an Eric anywhere? What's going on? And I came across an article that we were there on February 15th. There was a professor at the college in the town
It's within walking distance.
within walking distance whose name was Eric, and he was 43. And on Valentine's Day, he went down to either North or South Carolina, shot a family friend in the face in his yard, went to Florida, and then on the 15th, offed himself in a hotel room during a standoff. And we were there on the anniversary of this man's death.
Oh, boy. Wow.
Yeah, I'm getting no, that's
The
probably the creepiest thing that's happened.
the gentleman whose life he took was an older man that had been a family friend. And so we decided we could jump into this and research and try to figure things out, but I think that you can connect the dots
Yeah.
as to what might have happened in
Mhm.
that situation.
Mhm.
we decided to just leave it alone. And somebody said, "Are you going to go back and see if you can connect?" I said, "No, that's
No.
the kind of thing you have to really, you have to know your boundaries and your ethics and stuff. And that's way
Yeah.
too, um, recent. When we went there, we thought we would be, well, when we went to dinner, the waitress came over. She had no idea we were there to investigate. We didn't share that with
Yeah.
anybody. She came
Right.
right over and she started telling us, "Do you know about our ghost?" You know,
They're
like,
like, "Tell us more."
yeah, tell us about your ghost.
No,
Just
never.
telling us some stuff, and we're like, "Okay." So we thought, we'll be connecting with, the original owners of this property that built this house in the 1600s. These people have
Right.
passed 200-300 years ago, and,
Right.
we're gonna be communicating and maybe interacting with people like that. We didn't expect somebody who had only passed, 10 years ago and worked within walking distance to where we were, and in
Yeah.
such a dramatic and violent way and
Wow.
story, and it was so uncomfortable. I couldn't
Yeah.
believe it though. I was in the kitchen washing dishes and you were like, "You need to come see this." I was like, "Wow."
Wow. We were house hunting in 2021, and I had went into a house close to where the haunted house was, and it's not the haunted house, but I walked in and I was like, "This place is sad. This place is
Ugh.
sad." Like, just and I was tearing up, and Daniel was like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "I just wanna cry. There's a lot of sadness here." And, like, I said, "I think somebody died." And I looked right at him, I was like, "I think somebody died of COVID quite recently." So I couldn't let it go because it was so specific. It was so powerful and specific, and this is before the haunted house. Like, we didn't live in the haunted house yet.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
I wouldn't even called myself like, people say, "Ashley, you're a psychic medium." I do not call myself that. Psychic, I have more psychic abilities than anything else. Those are the stronger ones. The mediumship is coming and going, it comes in and out. Like, I was like, this is before I was comfortable with any of that. And so I Googled. I'm very good. I worked for the government for a very long time, so I know how to find information. So I was looking up the homeowners, and I was able to find out that 6 months prior to the listing of that house, the husband, the owner of the house, died of COVID. I found his obituary. I found articles because he was a member of the community, like that, did stuff for the community. They wrote about him. I was able to find his family, and his
Mhm.
wife was actually the one selling the house. And it was just really like, what, even my realtor was like, whoa,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. And also, I do believe in reincarnation. I think we kinda skipped over that earlier, in animals and human.
Hmm. Me too.
She's got a story about that, but again, that's
It's a long
that's a
story.
whole other
Yeah,
podcast,
it's
Well,
a
we might
a
have to
whole
have a
other episode.
thing.
reincarnation podcast.
That's fun.
That would be fun. I haven't done that yet. I've done a lot, but I haven't done that one yet. Oh, this has been great.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate
About
y'all's
some
time.
parts
No,
too.
it's a pleasure to finally, like, meet you.
Yes. Yes, I'm not a cat. I say that because it's my mom's favorite. My mom is one of my most avid listeners and one of my biggest supporters, and buys all my merch, and she's wonderful. And when I worked for the federal court system, one of the funniest reels, videos, whatever you want to call it, that came out during 2020 was the lawyer that turned on the cat filter. And he had to go in front of the judge, and he was this little white gray cat on the screen, and he said, "Judge, it's me. I'm not a cat." And
That's good.
so it's like a joke. I say, like, even my birthday card this year, my mom wrote, "I'm not a cat," and my dad said, "I might be a cat." So it's like anytime I meet people that I've been interacting with for a while, I'm like, "I'm not a cat. I'm real."
Well, thank you very much for inviting us or taking the time to bring us on and talk, and it's been a lot of fun.
Oh, I'm so glad it worked out. I'm so like today, I mean, it's been a busy day, but it's been such a rewarding day just seeing some of the people that I've talked to for so long and interacted with. It's so nice.
Mhm.
And I just thank you for your support and your kindness and always just being so wonderful. And if y'all want to go follow Mary and Liam, please tell my listeners where they can come find you.
On Instagram, Liam Geary .pi, and you are Me Geary 24. I think well, I did. I kind of started a Facebook page as well, and I think I'm going to link the two just to kind of get some more exposure.
Yeah, do
Um,
that. And I can share that too and help build
but
your
yeah,
Facebook.
Yes,
yeah,
send me a request. I typically accept them as long as you are addressed. I will accept it. If you are not wearing clothes, those ones get declined.
As long as you have a top on, welcome. Everyone's welcome with a top.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it so much. I think you're gonna need a shirt. We're gonna need merch that says "Everyone's welcomed," and then on the back, as long as you have clothes on. something. I don't know.
I can design something. I'll design up any T-shirts that you want to try to print off. I
Hey,
you
got
don't
some
do that.
software.
I love some
Did our
merch.
logo.
Yep,
That's
I love
really-
that. I was looking at that. I like it. Very cool. Well, thank you so much, everybody. Make sure you go and check them out. Make sure you're supporting, like and share, and do all the things. Y'all know how to interact. I know y'all know. And while you're there, follow me, Ghost Gossip Pod, Ghost Gossip Podcast on all the platforms. You can find me on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, and everywhere. And email me all your Ghost Gossip at ghostgossip247@gmail.com. Until next time, they'll see you later.